lovely conversation last night with Raquel Book from Zapping.
Can I move this out of the shot? Yeah.
Absolutely. And we
Sorry.
moved from augmented reality to self-identity and to eco-conscious and sustainability. What is sustainability? How do you define sustainability? In which context? So yeah, it was a lovely discussion. Are we ready?
We are ready.
Oh, are we recording already?
We are recording already.
Okay, great stuff. Julia, nice to meet you and thank you for joining us at Reshape 2019.
Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
Lovely. I know that you have a lot of experience in art, history, costume design, fashion and textile, innovation, styling, accessories, and I see you, as I follow your work now, engaging with materials that help and nurture the environment. Behind the blend of the technologies that you've accumulated, the blend of experience that you've accumulated along the journey, what is the higher goal behind the entire?
Well, you know, I actually think my beginning was sustainable. When I was a child, very young child, I started sewing and upcycling clothing for my mom, clothing for vintage stores, because you know, I grew up in Texas and Louisiana. You don't really find a very interesting offer at the shops there, especially in the 80s. And I was more attracted to vintage clothing, but I wanted to customize them, I wanted to change them. So I think I actually came from very sustainable beginnings without knowing that they were sustainable.
This is what I wanted to ask, was there a conscious process
Not
there?
at all. I mean, that's just the way we grew up. Moved to, you know, New York, traveled a bunch, did a lot of other things, had a lot of different experiences, and I think it's kind of come full circle, and I've kind of ended up again focusing on sustainability. I think the way modern life is, most people think it's pretty difficult to be more conscious or be, you know, more sustainable. I think they're very small things that everyone can do every day that would be, you know, help a lot and have a big impact. Just from taking, for example, a reusable coffee cup. I mean, a small detail, but, you know, so I think they're very small things you can do. In terms of the university where I'm the director, you know, we try to really install in the students the awareness of the waste they're producing, because that's something that's very common in universities. You know, just use a bunch of fabric, or misuse a bunch of fabric, misuse a bunch of paper, and end up with a lot of waste material. And that's something also that we really try to make them very, very aware of. I think sustainability doesn't just have to be, you know, kind of one class or one element of your life. I think it's very easy to make a few small changes and actually have it kind of permeate and be throughout your life in a very natural way. And I think that's the way I was kind of raised. I wasn't aware we were being sustainable, and we were. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do now, not only with myself, my work, but then also with the education we're giving our students.
Beautiful. You've mentioned a word, waste. Now, to me, waste is always with inverted commas. But waste nowadays is seen as a source of upcycling, and we see the transgression of upcycled materials into luxury fashion as a worn garment carries the history, carries the wounds of the previous usage that adds to the character of the garment. Now, where do you see upcycling moving in fashion?
But, you know, there's that phrase that you know, one man's waste is another man's treasure.
Beautiful, yes.
You know?
Yes.
Obviously, waste is the word that's very easy to say, so everyone understands what kind of materials we're talking about, but it doesn't mean, obviously, that it's something unusable, you know, or something that doesn't have value, as you say. I think it's something actually that most of the younger generations, the ones that we have now, you know, 18 to 19, 20, are pretty aware of it and actually quite interested in exploring possibilities. So that's something I think that gives us hope for the future.
Definitely.
You know,
definitely.
That it's something that they have as a value and that they're quite interested in. So, you know, it's not something we have to force very hard with them. I do think that in terms of upcycling, I think there are a lot of possibilities that haven't been explored. You know, not even just looking at luxury, which for sure there's a sector that can be explored, but if you look at kind of the industry that maybe produces quote unquote the most waste in terms of tons of just textile trash and clothing that's just thrown away, would be maybe more fast fashion. You know, I'm buying something, using it one or two times and then throwing it away. luxury doesn't really have that idea. You know, luxury is something you save for 20, 40, 50 years, you inherit from your grandmother. So I think
it's timeless.
I think exactly. So I think there they have something right that I think in fast fashion is still not fixing. You see now a lot of these big fast fashion companies having, you know, bins where people can come recycle their clothing and stuff. I think they're a lot of times looking at more recycling the fiber, or, you know, recycling the yarn, or trying to figure out how they can recycle in that sector. I think just with clothing, you can actually recycle pieces. So personally, as just a designer in my free time, which I don't have much, but I've been doing upcycling with sweaters. But it's not about having to take apart the piece completely. It's just about, with a few cuts, being able to reassemble one or two pieces together and create, I call them kind of my monsters, creating, you know, something new from it. So I think that there are opportunities that really big companies with a lot of leftover stock, instead of burning it, for example, they have like opportunity there to maybe recreate new pieces or new elements that, you know, are quite easy to fabricate.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Let's talk a bit about the future. As you've mentioned future and how the landscape is going to develop most likely. And given the context around us, tech, using tech as a tool to better the fashion industry. And let's imagine that you compose music on a piano. And this is the stage, we are on stage and we close the curtains. Behind the curtains we have a large audience and they are listening to you playing piano. Magnificent music, by the way. We open the curtains, the audience sees you, and they're so impressed with your skills, your craft. I'm making a parallel with fashion here. But then we close the curtains again and we give you a virtual reality headset and you invoke a piano, one of the most expensive pianos ever, or a violin, a Stradivarius, a rare one, and then you start playing in a VR environment. It's not a physical tool. It's not craftsmanship in the classic sense that we understand, and yet the output is music. It's the same music. So then the audience is still...
But that's the fusion, really, isn't of it, of tech and craft. Do you know what I mean? There's some fashion companies starting now with virtual reality clothing that don't exist in real life. Beautifully draped, beautiful aesthetically to look at. They're not physical. You buy the program and you can upload it on your photo on Instagram or your avatar online, and you know it only exists digitally. But there is still a craft behind it.
Definitely.
The design process, you know, and the human behind it using that technology put their craft there in the movements that they made. A lot of it is created with like light sensors and things projecting on top of a mannequin to create the volume and the shape. And so it's like a new type of moulaging or draping, you know. A project we did last year actually with Nalmena at the university, we invented a new type of kind of draping machine. So it was a wooden cylinder with a Stockman mannequin in the middle and a tulle dress inside. And with fishing string, the students pulled and manipulated the form. So instead of draping and having the fabric fall onto the body, they were pulling it out, and those were attached to sensors to then read what the volume was. So I think there are ways of playing with this future craft. I think playing a virtual piano, it's still a craft, but that's a perfect example of the fusion of craft and tech.
Definitely.
You know?
Ultimately, it's still a human behind. Regardless of the tool that you use, it's still a human that engages to output something meaningful.
Yeah. There's always this big push for tech in all industries, and there has to be more tech, and there has to be more tech, and there has to be more tech. I'm someone who thinks that we can't forget the human part of it either. And so I think it's really important as we move forward towards tech to not forget the craft or not forget the human, you know? So I think it's really important, you know, looking here, there are many projects that are working with the same idea, you know, pushing forward in technology, but also remembering that we're humans and that we need, you know, contact, and that we need to see someone, and it doesn't just all need to be digital. So I think the projects that really have inspired me the most of what I've seen here, for sure, the ones that are kind of this fusion of something very old and something very traditional and something very forward-thinking and technological. So I think that that's something that we should always be looking for as we're moving forward.
Lovely. We have so many things to talk about, but I'm being told that we have to cut a video. But absolutely, but it would be great to catch up with you at the round table and continue our discussions.
Okay,
Julia, thank you so much for being with us here today.